Boxers or briefs? Which option is better for your sperm health? I'm Dr. Rena, a urologist and pelvic surgeon, and today I'm going to break down the real differences between boxers and briefs. Do they truly influence sperm quality? Let's take a closer look. First, let's talk about where this idea comes from. There's quite a bit of research suggesting that when the scrotum stays at a higher temperature, it can affect the body's ability to produce healthy semen and strong sperm. If you think about it, boxers allow more airflow, while briefs fit closer to the body and can feel warmer and snug. Because of that, many people have believed that men trying to conceive should avoid briefs. But what does the research actually say? Back in 1998, researchers conducted a study involving 97 men. They asked each participant whether they usually wore boxers or briefs, and they also performed semen analyses on all of them. Among those 97 men, 14 decided to switch from boxers to briefs during the study, and their semen results were tested as well. In other words, researchers collected samples and examined whether sperm quality changed depending on the type of underwear worn. So, did they find any real difference in sperm quality? The answer was no. The study showed no meaningful difference between the groups. They also measured the scrotal temperatures of men wearing boxers compared with those wearing briefs. Once again, the difference was extremely small. Interestingly, the boxer group actually had a slightly higher average temperature, about 33.8 degrees Celsius, while the briefs group averaged around 33.6 degrees Celsius. In other words, there really wasn't a significant difference. Now, that's just one study. But another research project in 2016 looked at 501 couples who were trying to conceive. The researchers went into great detail. They asked what type of underwear the men wore during the day, what they wore at night, how frequently they changed their underwear, and several other habits. And once again, the results showed essentially no difference. So if you're trying to have a baby, the type of underwear you choose, boxers or briefs, probably doesn't matter. However, there may still be other reasons to prefer one style over the other. For example, if you usually wear briefs, you might notice the area feels warmer and more humid. In that environment, you may have a slightly higher chance of developing jock itch, also known as tinea cruris. This is a fungal infection that causes a red, itchy rash in the groin area. To help prevent that, you can use powders that absorb moisture and keep the area dry. Something simple like cornstarch-based powder can help reduce moisture around the genitals. If you'd like a separate video about different types of drying powders and how they work, let me know in the comments below and I'll be happy to make one. Speaking of groin fungus, a few months ago I saw a dermatologist post something interesting on Twitter. She suggested putting your socks on before your underwear. The reason? To avoid transferring fungus from your toes to your groin. When I first heard that, I was shocked. She explained that while it can happen, it's mostly a concern for people with severe toenail fungus. Even so, I might start putting on my socks before my underwear from now on. And finally, what about going commando, meaning no underwear at all? Some people prefer it for comfort. But if you do go commando, be especially careful when zipping up jeans or pants with a zipper. Zipper injuries are very real, and yes, they do occasionally show up in emergency rooms. They can be quite painful and definitely embarrassing. The good news is that these injuries are usually treatable, but it's certainly not the kind of situation anyone wants to deal with during a trip to the emergency room. Alright, thank you all so much for watching. And remember, always take good care of yourself, because you truly deserve it.